Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. What a wacky conference championship Sunday the NFL just had with the AFC and the NFC Championship game. There is a ton to unpack here from both of these games, as we now know which two teams are going to be advancing to Super Bowl 58, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. I went 1-1 with these two games because I picked the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers to win, but Kansas City did knock off Baltimore, but I did get San Francisco right over the Detroit Lions. And look at the irony with the passing leaders. Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff had the most passing yards in each respective game, but the Baltimore Ravens still did not win, and the Detroit Lions didn't win. So it goes to show you yards are not the most important thing in the NFL or college football for that matter. It is points, and especially in the Kansas City game that rang true because Baltimore outgained the Kansas City Chiefs almost 2-1. But the mistakes that the Ravens made in this game by the players is why they did not win. You look at Zay Flowers, for example, just really dig into this AFC Championship game first. The Kansas City Chiefs, they got a lead 17-7 over the Baltimore Ravens, and for the rest of that time, the Ravens were doing everything in their power to try to come back in this game, and they had multiple opportunities, and they were racking up tons of yards. But when you had a guy like Zay Flowers as a rookie who was playing so well for the Baltimore Ravens all season long, and in this game, he was one of the only players that was playing well for the Baltimore Ravens on the offensive side of the ball, besides Lamar Jackson throwing the ball to him, which is awesome for the Ravens until Zay Flowers taunted the Kansas City Chiefs, got a penalty, and then he made up for that, but then he fumbled the football at the goal line, and that caused the Kansas City Chiefs to get the ball back. And people talked about how well the Kansas City Chiefs defense played. I'm not going to go out there and say that it did not, because they did have some good defensive possessions in this game, but overall, Lamar Jackson had enough time to throw for the majority of the time until late in the game when Baltimore had to throw almost every single time because they were trying to come back. That's when Kansas City's defense started to do a whole lot better. But the mistakes by Zay Flowers really cost the Ravens. And then later in the game, Lamar Jackson forced the ball into triple coverage when he should not have thrown the ball downfield like that on that play because there was still time left for the Ravens to come back, but that was a mistake. And likely the tight end put his hand up saying that he was open, so that was a mistake by him. Lamar threw it to him. There was pass interference on that play that was not called, and then it got picked off. And people are mad in this game from both sides about the refereeing in this game. Chiefs fans are mad. Ravens fans are mad. I honestly felt that there were more bad calls that tilted for the Kansas City Chiefs. In my opinion, I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens did get screwed on a few plays, but it is what it is. Baltimore made too many of their own mistakes. I don't blame John Harbaugh at all for this loss. He did have the team running some good plays, and they should have scored points. Baltimore probably should have won this game 24-17 because the Ravens defense just kept shutting down the Kansas City Chiefs, but it did not matter because they couldn't get out of their own way. And Kansas City, despite what you want to say, people are going to say Taylor Swift's the reason that they're in the Super Bowl right now, which I think is absolutely dumb because of the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs have already won 2 Super Bowls without Taylor Swift even in the picture. I know people have to joke around about that. Some people probably don't mean it, but some probably do. But Taylor Swift's not the reason that the Kansas City Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people are getting sick of the Kansas City Chiefs. They wanted them to lose. That's not why I picked the Baltimore Ravens. I legit thought the Ravens were better, and they were better. They outgained the Kansas City Chiefs, but they did not score because of their own mistakes, and that's why the Chiefs won. But people are frustrated with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Taylor Swift situation and the fact that they're winning. People don't like when a team is winning, but you add Taylor Swift to the mix, and then you've got a whole lot of frustrated NFL fans outside of people that are Kansas City Chiefs fans and Taylor Swift fans. So now moving forward for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, he's going to have to try again next year. He was finally healthy this season. He's probably going to win MVP, even though a lot of people do not agree. I actually did a poll asking people whether they thought that Lamar Jackson should win MVP after this performance, and 65% of people said no, 35% of people said yes. But I will say that the MVP award is a regular season award. So Lamar Jackson, he was already the favorite coming into the playoffs. He will win MVP despite the fact that the Baltimore Ravens Ravens did lose this game. But it's very tough for Lamar Jackson because he's going to start entering the territory of Josh Allen where he just can't get it done. He can't knock off Patrick Mahomes. And if Patrick Mahomes keeps on racking up Super Bowl wins in the future, he's already got 2, and he can get near the Tom Brady number. That's going to make the rest of the NFL very frustrated at the Chiefs, and they're going to be the new dynasty in the NFL. It's going to be hard to do that, though, with Andy Reid's age. We don't know how much longer he's going to coach. Travis Kelce's getting older, but Patrick Mahomes, as long as he's back there, anything's possible, and maybe he can win his 3rd Super Bowl since the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson fell short. I do think Lamar Jackson is going to be back in the future, but this was a horrible loss for the Ravens. They should have won this game. They were the better team, but they couldn't get out of their own way. But in the NFC Championship game, we talk about how the players made the mistakes, and there was some bad calls that did help out the Kansas City Chiefs get that dub, and now they're in the Super Bowl. But with this game, Detroit led 24-7 over the San Francisco 49ers in the first half, going into halftime, and I thought Detroit, they're going to get it done. They're going to go to the Super Bowl, and they're going to have a shot to win their first Super Bowl in franchise history, but then things went south. And what's so frustrating is even though I picked San Francisco, I was pulling kind of for Detroit fans. I'm not a biased NFL fan at all. I don't really have any rooting interest here, but I just felt so bad for the Detroit fan base and how much they've suffered, where you've got Kansas City and New England and all these teams racking up Super Bowl wins. Detroit's just going out there. They can't even get in the playoffs or win a game in the playoffs. They finally won a playoff game for the first time since the 1992 season. That was so awesome for Detroit. And Dan Campbell, what a job he's done. But as well as he's done, he is also a flawed coach as well because of how aggressive he is. I was proud of Dan Campbell for taking the points going into half instead of going for it on 4th down. It could have helped Detroit go up 28-7, but he decided to take the points, go up by 3 scores. That was smart. But in the second half, things started to go downhill because you had Dan Campbell having the Detroit Lions, instead of kicking the field goal to go back up 27-10 when Detroit was still up 24-10 and they had still all the momentum, Detroit decided to go for it. They did not get it, and then that helped San Francisco go down the field, score again, and then they were back in the game. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, he fumbled the football. Some people said Jared Goff handed the ball wrong, even though Jared Goff played very well in this game. If that's the only critique you can have against him, that's not too bad. But Jahmyr Gibbs, a rookie just like Zay Flowers, had his only mistake, even though definitely most people aren't going to blame him as much as they do blame Zay Flowers. But Jahmyr Gibbs fumbling the football, that was tough. And then San Francisco tied the game. So we're at 24-all now, and it looks like Detroit's in a whole lot of trouble. But then they go down the field again, and then Dan Campbell decides to go for it again on 4th down. And I'm like, the first time when you're up by 2 scores and you do that, that's fine. I get it. You're an aggressive coach. You want to try to end the game and go ahead and take the 49ers out. But now that you're tied, you have to go ahead and get some of the momentum back. But that's not what occurred. Detroit did not get it again. And then San Francisco ended up taking the lead. They went up 34-24. So it was 27 unanswered points by the San Francisco 49ers. And then Detroit ended up scoring a touchdown late, which I thought that the Lions should have taken a field goal to save some clock. But it is what it is there. And then San Francisco ended up winning 34-31. Detroit scored the touchdown, but they couldn't get the onside kick. And the 49ers ran out the clock. And I know that a lot of people are blaming Dan Campbell, saying he made so many mistakes. He didn't know what he was doing out there, but that's the way Dan Campbell's been all season. We saw how risky he was in the Dallas Cowboys game when the Lions got screwed on that play on the 2-point conversion where they scored, but then they said the offensive lineman didn't report. After they got pushed back, Detroit should have taken the extra point, but he went for 2 anyway, and Detroit lost that game to Dallas instead of maybe having a shot to take the game to overtime. That's just the guy that Dan Campbell is. You got to give him credit for being able to turn around this organization. He's gotten Jared Goff playing some of the best football of his career. This is a really talented team. They're going to be back. It's tough they lost to the 49ers. Brock Purdy, he wasn't perfect. He made some bad throws. That circus catch to Brandon Ayuk should have been a pick, but that was a fantastic play by him. Christian McCaffrey did enough on the ground and through the air as well to help out. And the 49ers overall, they just found a way to stick with it, hang tough, and they capitalized on some questionable coaching decisions by Dan Campbell to go for it on 4th down instead of taking the points. And now the San Francisco 49ers are in the Super Bowl to face the Kansas City Chiefs. And I've done a poll asking people who they think is going to win the Super Bowl this year, and 56% of the people so far are saying the Kansas City Chiefs, and 44% of the people are saying the San Francisco 49ers. That could change, but it looks like people are believing maybe Patrick Mahomes can do it again and that he can win his 3rd Super Bowl, that they're just desperate predestined to build a dynasty like Tom Brady and that the 49ers will fall short. But you never know, the 49ers might take the lead in the poll. But I did ask before these games, I said, who did people think was going to win the Super Bowl? And the Ravens won out. So it goes to show you that the favorites did not get it done. The Ravens fell short, even though they were probably the best team in the NFL, but mistakes got in their way. We've already talked about Dan Campbell with the Lions. NFL fans are mad at him, but you can't be too mad because of how well he's done. But just those mistakes cost the Detroit Lions this game. If they had succeeded, they would have won. But it was a fantastic Sunday of NFL action in the AFC and NFC Championship game. Both games were competitive. You can't ask for much more than that. You had some drama as well mixed in that some people might not like, but others are going to relish it. So these games brought a little bit of everything this Sunday. And even if your favorite team did not win in the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions, at least they made it all the way here. Maybe they can get it next year, but we've got Super Bowl 58 coming up in 2 weeks between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, and it should be a lot of fun regardless of who wins. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about these two games and the mistakes that the Baltimore Ravens made from their players and the Detroit Lions mistakes that they made with some of their coaching decisions and how they had a massive collapse in this game that allowed the San Francisco 49ers to win, which was a complete inverse of the 1957 game between the 49ers and the Detroit Lions, where the 49ers were winning and then the Lions came back and won. So that was ironic. And which game you enjoyed more, whether it was the AFC or the NFC Championship game, and which team you think is going to win Super Bowl 58, whether it's the Chiefs or the 49ers. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.